Hello everyone, in this video I will go over a currency making tree for this league. The intention of this tree is to spawn a lot of monsters while also improving the quantity of drops that come from them. Before we go over the Atlas tree, let me give you a brief overview of the mechanics that I invested points into and why. Delirium, cluster jewels, simulacrum splinters and delirium orbs, and it is also available on the map device this league, plus some random drops from other league mechanics. Legion for the incubators, emblems, and the random drops, again, drops from other league mechanics, currency, etc. And you also gain access to the domain of Timeless Conflict, which will give you a 5-socketed map device. Harbingers, currency in general, and high potential drops, for example, it is possible, very unlikely, but it is possible to get fracturing orbs or even a mirror of Kalandra. The most expensive currency item in the game. Torment, they have more HP now, and the IE is smarter than before, plus the new Atlas node, which allows you to have a ghost in you instead of in a monster. You don't have to take this nodes. It is personal preference, but I think it's worth it to give Torment a shot this league. And of course, over the overall increased quantity that the ghosts provide. Strongboxes increases the overall monster quantity, as pretty much all the mechanics that we invested points into, and can lead to drops of valuable currency, divination cards, scarabs, etc. Currency and divination card drops that come out of a chest will get doubled if you take the correct node. If you do not like Torment, Ava is a great alternative that you can go for as well. Okay, let's go over the Atlas tree. The Delirium nodes that I took are Descent into Madness. Delirium in your maps increases 50% faster with distance from the mirror. The singular entity, Delirium Fog in your maps dissipates 25% slower. Delirium Fog in your maps lasts 10 additional seconds before dissipating. If you're having trouble clearing your map fast enough, you can also take these small nodes. Delirium Persistence, Delirium Fog in your maps dissipates 8% slower. The next Delirium node that I took is Compulsive Hoarder. Delirium encounters in your maps have 8% chance to generate 3 additional reward types. This is a very, very good node. Highly recommend taking this. If you are a bit tankier than most other MF builds, or if you are using a low tier variant, the map that I will talk about later, you can also go for Delusions of Persecution. Delirium encounters in your maps are 100% more likely to spawn unique bosses. Delirium bosses in your maps drop 50% increased simulacrum splinters, and Delirium bosses in your maps have 50% increased chance to drop unique cluster jewels. The last big Delirium node that I took is Paranoid Fixation. Delirious unique monsters in your maps have a 2% chance to drop an additional cluster jewel. Delirious unique monsters in your maps have a 1% chance to drop an additional Delirium orb, plus all the small nodes. Delirium monsters in your maps have 10% increased chance to drop cluster jewels, and Delirium rewards in your maps have 10% increased chance to give Delirium orbs. The Legion Atlas nodes are Chain of Command. Legion encounters in your maps contain 2 additional sergeants. Legion sergeants in your maps have 20% additional chance to have rewards. And the small nodes here, Legion encounters in your maps have 10% increased duration. Legion sergeants in your maps have 3% additional chance to have rewards. You can also take this node if you need a little bit more time. Legion encounters in your maps have 40% increased duration. Legion monsters in your maps take 50% increased damage while in stasis. Then I travel up here. I take Marakev Legion chance. Legion encounters in your maps have 55% increased chance to include a Marakev army. And Templar Legion chance. Legion encounters in your maps have 60% increased chance to include a Templar army. And we travel down here. We take these small nodes. 0.2% chance for Timeless Splinters to drop as Timeless Emblems in your maps, and Emblematic 0.6% chance for Timeless Splinters to drop as Timeless Emblems in your map. Travel up here, take War Supplies. Each Legion in your maps contains an additional Warhawk. Legion chests released from stasis in your maps release other monsters and chests with 100% increased range. Face off, Legion encounters in your maps are 60% more likely to include a general. Legion encounters with a general in your maps have both generals. Then we travel this node, Village Treasures. Legion chests in your maps contain an additional random reward, and logistical support. Legion monsters in your maps which have rewards have 10% chance to gain 2 additional rewards, and if not, have 20% chance to gain 1 additional reward. Legion monsters in your maps gain 50% more life for each additional reward they have. The Harbinger nodes that I invested points into are Ominous Arrival. Your maps contain an additional Harbinger. Unspeakable Offensive. Harbingers in your maps have 60% increased cooldown recovery rate. Currency shards dropped by Harbingers in your maps can drop as currency items instead. And of course, first wave. Harbingers in your maps have 25% chance to be replaced by a powerful Harbinger boss. And the Torment nodes that I invested points into are Paranormal Meeting. Your maps are haunted by an additional Tormented Spirit, guaranteeing a Tormented Spirit already. And I travel up here. Unrelenting Torment. Map bosses have 10% chance to be surrounded by Tormented Spirits. 30% more quantity of items dropped by possessed monsters in your maps. And you can, if you want to. I think with certain builds it works very well, with others not so much. Speak of the Dead. Tormented Spirits in your maps can possess players for 20 seconds. Tormented Spirits in your maps cannot possess monsters. Players can touch up to 50 nearby normal or magic monsters for each Tormented Spirit possessing them. This is a personal choice in my opinion, not a must. And the last Torment nodes that I invested points into is Seance. Up to 5 rare monsters in each of your maps are possessed and their minions are touched. Also, these small nodes give quantity, 20% increased quantity of items dropped by possessed or touched monsters in your maps. And last but not least, strongboxes. Twice Tempted. Your maps contain an additional strongbox. Secret Operations. Strongboxes in your maps have 6% chance to be an operative strongbox. Operatives strongboxes contain Scarabs. Tamper-proof. Strongboxes in your maps are corrupted. Strongboxes in your maps are at least rare. This is more or less optional if you are taking a Sextant that guarantees that your strongboxes are corrupted and at least rare. You don't have to take this node. But if you don't, I would highly recommend taking this node. And the last 2 points are Vault of Mysteries. Divination cards from strongboxes in your maps are duplicated. And the small notes here, Diviner strongbox chance. Strongboxes in your maps have 30% increase chance to be a Diviner strongbox. Arcanist strongbox chance. Strongboxes in your maps have 30% increased chance to be an Arcanist strongbox. For those of you who don't know this, Arcanist strongboxes drop regular currency. And backup case, currency items from strongboxes in your maps are duplicated. The map that I decided to go with is the Cemetery map. There are a bunch of good divination cards that drop, for example, the Dragon's Heart, Brother's Stash, or Brother's Gift, which will increase your profit margins by a lot if they drop. Another map that could work well with this Atlas tree is the Crimson Temple map. The tier of the map is up to you and your personal preference and current gear. Just balance the risk versus reward and the smoothness of your run. Scarabs. I would use a Legion Scarab to guarantee a Legion encounter since the Sextant is very expensive. I would also use a Harbinger Scarab to add some Harbingers to your map. I would use an Ambush Scarab to increase the number of strongboxes on the map. And the last Scarab comes down to preference. Torment does not necessarily require you to take a Scarab, since we take nodes that already guarantee a decent amount of possessed and touched monsters. So you can either take a Torment Scarab to increase the number of Tormented Spirits on your map, or a Divination Scarab to increase the drop rate of Divination cards. Totally up to you. Sextants to consider. The first Sextant that I would consider is this one. The first 3 possessed monsters drop an additional Gilded Scarab. Your maps are haunted by an additional Tormented Betrayer. This also scales up and down depending on how much currency you have. So you can also go for a Winged Scarab or a Rusted Scarab. The next one that I would consider is this one. Map bosses are accompanied by a mysterious Harbinger. Map bosses drop additional currency shards. Harbingers in your maps drop additional currency cards. The third one that I would consider is this one. Legion monsters in your maps have 100% more life. Splinters and emblems dropped by Legion monsters in your maps are duplicated. Next one is this. Strongbox monsters are enraged. Strongbox monsters have 500% increased item quantity. Your maps contain an additional strongbox. This one is very, very expensive, so it's up to you if you want to invest that much currency. And the last one, your maps contain 2 additional strongboxes. Strongboxes in your maps are corrupted. Strongboxes in your maps are at least rare. Alright, enough theory talk. Let me show you an actual run. I will use a polished Legion Scarab, a polished Ambush Scarab, a polished Harbinger Scarab, and a polished Divination Scarab, a tier 11 cemetery map with 79% quantity, and I will take Delirium.
Nothing you do will be remembered.
Orb of alchemy. Orb of alchemy. Orb of alchemy.
My mana is gone.
Orb of alchemy. 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 Orb of alchemy.
Divine orb,
Orb of
such
alchemy.
grace is seldom seen in this world of the damned.
Orb of alchemy.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Orb of alchemy. 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 Orb of alchemy.
Divine orb, such grace is seldom seen in this world of the damned.
My mana is gone.
Orb of alchemy. 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 Orb of alchemy.
I'm not up to that just yet.
All of alchemy. All of alchemy. Divine alchemy.
Such grace is seldom seen in this world of the damned.
Alright, as you guys can see, the maps can get very, very rippy, but also very, very rewarding. Let me quickly run through the map again. As you can see, the loot on the ground here. And there should be a decent amount of loot that lies around here. As you can see here. Oh, we didn't even open everything up.
All of alchemy.
This stuff. All of this is fractured, by the way, so this could be worth a ton. The stuff here, the stuff here. But yeah, the potential when it comes to loot is very, very high. Alright, that concludes the video. I hope you found it informative. Good luck with this strategy. I hope you become rich. Bye!